good. All right. So we have 10 participants at the moment. We're at 7:01. We have some familiar faces that Mirza has been saying hi to. And so good evening, everybody. Dr. Mirza and I are sharing knowledge on the Greenhouse Chat together with, product representatives as well as other growers. And we want to make sure that you realize that we're not promoting one product over another or one supplier over another, but we are giving our honest opinion and sharing the knowledge in good faith. And we hope that as growers use the information provided, that they use common sense and read the label, and use the products responsibly that we talk about. And our grower from Slave Lake has entered. Name is Willie Driedger. So he made it somehow. He got the link to work. So welcome, Willie. You're in good company with lots of other growers. And Willie has endeavored to purchase another greenhouse from another grower up at Slave Lake, and then he's moving it and then growing some ornamentals and mostly the flowers for the town of Slave Lake. So he's coming over tomorrow, driving down tomorrow to have a visit with us. So enough about me. I am extremely excited that we have a gentleman from Ontario in our midst. His name is Paul Lofgren, and Paul is with the company called Horticraft. And Horticraft is a company that sells plant labels. Most of us deal with them, and I'm sure you are too. So without further ado, we're turning the floor over to Paul Lofgren from Horticraft.
Okay, well, thanks, Michael, and thanks to Dr. Mirza for inviting me to be a part of this evening. It's always a privilege to be a part of different events within the industry, to see how the industry grows and helps one another and shares trade secrets and things like that, so that everybody can benefit and expand the industry and expand their knowledge as well. So thank you for inviting me tonight and the opportunity to just share briefly a little bit about Horticraft, brief history, and what we do, and maybe how we could help you with some of your tag and labeling and packaging as you need it for the future. So I'm just going to share my screen here.
Perfect. We could see you. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Everybody can see that, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, we can see that, Paul.
Okay, good. So Horticraft's been in business since 1973. We've been in supplying Canadian growers, garden centers, and nurseries throughout that time. You'll see at the top there, it's our mission and goal to serve our customers with consistent, humble excellence, and that's really what drives us to do what we do, and that's been kind of a bedrock principle and mindset since the company was started. We have been and continue to be a family-owned and operated company. I'm the now third generation involved in the business. My dad's uncle started the business in 1973, and his couple of his brothers, my grandfather being one of them, took over the business in the same year, actually. And then later on, my father and one of his other cousins got involved. And since then, they've all retired, and I've taken over the reins for the time being. So it's been a joy to be a part of a family business, and as much of the industry is are involved with their families and have the opportunity to work with their families and pass things down from generation to generation. And there's not a lot of industries outside of agriculture where that happens. And so that's something definitely that's special about the agricultural industry as a whole, but even just the greenhouse industry. So in 2018, we partnered with a local printer, which moved our printing production into Canada. Previously, we were partnered with a company most of the industry is familiar with. Their Westrock is now their name. John Henry is who they've been known as for a long time. And so we were previously their Canadian distribution arm. In 2018, we decided to partner with a company in Canada to bring production local, to create our own taglines, and to hopefully be able to serve our customers the way that we desire to serve them. And so that's what caused the move. Portercraft currently has 12 employees. That's in addition to all the staff who works with our printing partner. And we produce somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 million plus tags a year for growers and garden centers and nurseries across Canada and into the US. Just before we go into a few of our products that we have to offer, one thing I just wanted to mention tonight is the importance of labels and packaging. And there's just 5 things that I wanted to note that are important in labels and packaging as we consider how to display product in a retail location, which drives sales, which draws consumers to them. Obviously, in this industry, the real goal and the real showcase of all of our products is the actual plant material. And that's what we're trying to enable and enhance with the labels and packaging that we provide. But the labels and packaging provide 5 things primarily. One being product content and usage. They simply tell you what the product is. They provide care information, zones, things like that to help those who are buying the plants to be more successful with the plants that they buy, and hopefully keep them coming back time and time again. They help with branding. Packaging helps with branding. We know that recognizable labels trigger quality, trigger past experiences, and so that promoting brands can enable and enhance sales to the customers and bring them back to your location over and over again. Labels and packaging also help to differentiate similar items under a same brand. For example, shampoo. You might have a shampoo under one brand like L'Oreal or something like that, but they may have different specific products. One might be a volumizing shampoo, or one might be I don't really know all the other ones, but labels and packaging help to differentiate between all of the brands, or between items within a brand. They help with promoting different promotions that you might be running as a business, promoting specific items, promoting different features on a specific plant or product. They just help to promote your material, as well as they can help with a compliance if need be. A lot of the plants that we grow and sell nowadays are patented products or trademark products, and each of them have different trademark and patent requirements on the packaging that we offer, and so the labels and packaging can help with that as well. And so for each of us as business owners, we're always, and as buyers, if you're a buyer, we're weighing the value between the packaging, the cost of the packaging, and is it actually doing what we want it to do, and is it actually something that's needed. And so there's always that constant battle to try to weigh what the value is really in packaging and labels versus just having the quality plant product there for the consumer to buy. And so we offer and we gear our products to try to help whatever your vision for packaging is. whether it's simple, whether it's a little bit more extravagant. We try to provide a range of options to help you as you seek to market and promote your product. So I'll just briefly walk through a few more of these slides which show some of the tag products, most of which you all would be familiar with already, as you've seen with product that comes in with your product or that you purchase yourselves already. We've got your standard tags, whether they be stake tags that go in the soil, whether they be hanging tags. We print everything in full color and full bleed now with UV resistant inks, or sorry, I should say light fast inks, and we put UV coating to help the tags last in the environment. The greenhouses and outdoors are quite a harsh environment, and so we're required to use those specialized inks and UV resistant coatings to allow the tags and the color to last with this exposure to the sun and the environment. We've got four tags that are kind of part of our stock program, and they're basically available to be ordered off the shelf. And that's really our bread and butter that we have served our customers with over the years. And primarily, we seek to serve the small to medium size growers and garden centers and nurseries. We try to offer exceptional service. We do it consistently and humbly, and we really try to go out of our way to meet your needs. And we don't do everything perfectly all the time, but we will always try to fix any mistakes and try to make sure that your product arrives on time when you need it, and help to work with you in those type of things. Labels have become a little bit more popular again in recent years. They've often been used in the past simply as for barcodes or UPCs, but some growers are moving more to a label with some of the automation equipment that's becoming available now. You can print and apply labels right in your production line. And so labels, adhesive labels are becoming a little bit more common, such as these ones down here on the bottom left of the screen. And there's plenty of materials and different glosses and adhesives that are available that we have to offer, as well as things like these sun and shade labels can be used on hanging baskets or different types of things, just to highlight and guide and direct your consumers as they walk through the garden center. There's even tamper evident options. Hasn't been highly that hasn't had a high taking in the industry, but they are available. Another thing that we do offer, we really, although we are a tag and a label company, we really specialize in warehousing and distribution. And so we offer fulfillment programs for those who maybe want to include tags with cuttings for maybe some larger growers or things like that. Or even if you don't have space in your operation for a tag room to store your tags, on a custom tag side, we offer options to store those tags, to manage the inventory, and pick and pack and ship them as you need them. And so that sometimes that helps that we can produce in off-season times and keep that stock there ready and available, and then you can order them when they're ready. And instead of having to wait 3 to 5 weeks for them to be produced, if we've got a fulfillment program in place, they can be ordered as if they're already sitting on the shelf. We simply pick and pack it and ship it out. It's to your door within out to Alberta. It's about 5 business days typically from Ontario. So we do have fulfillment options that we can make available. We also offer a full line of POP and packaging options, bench cards, signage, strap handles, other things like pot wraps, shelf talkers, cartons such as the budding gardeners here. Basically, we like to say if it involves putting ink on any type of substrate, we can do it. And so we've got plenty of different options available for special projects that that you may need or want to help promote your products. Sorry, I just saw a question here from Michael asking about tamper-proof, so I'll just answer that now.
I already answered for you. You cannot use them to poke people. No, you could give the real answer. No, I can't.
Tamper-proof is basically with adhesive labels. Once you stick it on the pot or the box, wherever it is that you want to apply it, if somebody were to try to peel it off, the label itself would actually break, or it would leave a residue on the pot so that you knew somebody was trying to steal it or switch the label. It's something that's used more in the mass retailer type setting, like the Walmarts and those type of places are using things like that. But yeah, it's really to basically alert somebody at the counter if somebody's tried to switch a label or is trying to steal it or something like that. So that's what tamper-proof is referring to.
Okay. No, thanks for explaining that, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see. And then something that we created a couple years ago was just something fun to help try and engage young people. We've got to constantly be building into the next generation, trying to get them engaged in gardening if we want the industry to continue to flourish and grow. And so we created this coloring book as something that could be either sold at a garden center or used as giveaways. This Budding Gardeners brand is something that we are hoping to maybe expand over the coming years. We'd even love to partner with garden centers or some people who were interested in creating a curriculum of sorts to be able to run summer camps or workshops for kids where they could learn about gardening and help to develop that engagement with youth and build into the next generation. Let's see, a couple other questions here. Do we sell stands for the bench cards? Yes, we do. The stands that we carry them in 3 standard sizes, 7 by 5, 8 by 10, and 11 by 7. They are galvanized steel, and we sell them in, well, we've got a number of options, but we stock them in, you can buy them as faceplate only, or we sell them with stands in either 18 inches long or 30 inches long. And so there's a few different sign holder options there. All of our products can be seen and viewed on our website, horta-craft.ca, and we also can answer any other additional product questions just by reaching out to our staff at the office as well. The bench cards are water resistant. They're not laminated. They're printed on a synthetic material, and they're printed with UV inks or light fast inks. And is there a pricing sticker you offer to go with the bench cards? So I'm just going to scroll back to that screen. Down in all of our bench cards in the bottom right hand corner, we leave a blank space to write a price on the bench card if you wish. And then if you wish to use it again in future years, we do have blank labels that you could purchase to just stick over top of that. Or if you have blank labels that you already use in your operations, you could just stick it over top of that and write a new price on there if it needed to be adjusted from year to year. Can you print a banner? Sorry, I'm just answering some of these questions before I go on. How much are the Budding Gardener coloring books? They range depending on volume purchased. I think they're anywhere from $2.99 up to $6.99 is the cost for the Budding Gardener books. We do have fade resistant markers as well. let's see, banners. Yes, we can print banners of any type, vinyl banners, coroplast signage. We do, yeah, we've got other PVC signage options as well. We really any type of option for signage we have available and can provide. Print one side, two side with grommets if you wish. Any type of signage option we can offer. And just as I scroll through a few of these last pages here, they were designed to kind of promote some of the budding gardeners program, but really they're in this slideshow to just show some additional tag options that are available from what some of the standards are. So there's shelf talkers, different signs that can be created, tent cards, custom die cutting, stickers, pot wraps, promoting different or special days, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, all the different highlighted days that plants are often sold for, and just a couple of banner options there. So with that, just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to share. We likely do work with some of you already. We're thankful for that, and we look forward to hopefully being able to continue to serve you, the AGGA members, and the industry in the years to come, and however you want to package and label your products. With that,
Thank you
I'll
very
turn it
much.
back over to you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks very much, Paul. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but I believe as an AGGA member, we get a small discount, do we?
That's correct. There is a discount for AGGA members. Basically, we just need proof of membership, which I think our office, I don't know if your office provides us a list or whether we just double check. But yes, there is a discount for AGGA members.
Yeah.
You could see
And-
this certificate on my back there. I hang it there. So ask
Yeah.
for your certificate.
And I want to emphasize, AGGA Greenhouses uses, a lot of horticulture labels, and as time has gone on, Paul and the company have done more and more different things for us. As a matter of fact, this year I was pleasantly surprised that the Selecta and Duman labels now also came from Paul, and I think that's huge, because in the last couple of years, we've all pulled out our hair regarding tags. Dustin calls it, the new four-letter word, because it is has been super frustrating. Of course, COVID didn't help, any, and plastic supplies didn't help any either. But we have our own logo put onto the labels, and that gives you even more flexibility. Our logo is on as a kind of a nudge to the grower, and but it allows us to have custom packaging, so we can have him ship in bundles of 50 or any other volume that we want instead of hundreds. And I am just, and I've said this many times to Paul, we use mostly the Slim Jims, and they are so pretty. I just love that the artwork goes right into the bottom of the label. So you've really stepped it up, and if I compare that to old labels that we may have on the shelf, I go like, wow, it's just day and night difference. So like I say, this year again, you've impressed us by providing us labels that we couldn't get before, or that were always late. And Paul is also in touch with, or the company is also in touch with breeders' rights. So he will check. You maybe want to elaborate a bit on that, Paul, because I'm not sure what the background is on that, but I think it's important.
Yeah, well, we're in contact with all the breeders. We've got permission from them to print tags, and in the background, when tags are ordered, we've got various requirements to have breeders proof certain tags. In addition, especially in the custom side, breeders proof your tags as well on varieties that are theirs, and so we handle all of that in the background. But we have access to a lot of the breeders we even give us access to their image libraries, and so they're providing images for the plant product, and so we high quality, high resolution images, and so we can't take credit for the images themselves. A lot of the images we get directly from the breeder, which we're very thankful for. But yeah, we continue, we develop those relationships and are in constant contact with the breeders to make sure that your tags are compliant where they need to be.
Yeah, yeah, but you've done custom labels for us, and what helps for us is that we're able to adjust what goes on the tag. For instance, a couple of years ago we got a tag for potato vine, and it was that this is the Solana potato vine, not the Ipomea, and it said perennial. Well, it's not perennial in Alberta. It might be in other parts of North America, but not for us. So allowing us to, or using the custom option, we're also changing and sizes. We've changed sizes. We've changed requirements. What grows well in the sun or the shade. In Alberta compared to, or Western Canada on the prairies, what compares, for our conditions rather than, some more general ideas of, which would be, where we're too general for us. So we're able to give our customers a better range, of what to expect. So, those are all things that I'm very grateful for with Horticraft.
Thank you, Michael. And yeah, we're happy to be able to do that for our customers. It's amazing because of what you mentioned with different zones and growing ranges. There's a lot of variation in the industry as to plants are perennials in certain areas, annuals in another. And so we really want to. We've built our business around trying to be able to serve those needs. And so we really strive to be able to do that for you and for everybody.
Yeah, no, it works. And Debbie commented that she buys custom labels from you as well, and is very happy with them. So that's good. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. And can you type the website and or your email in the chat for everybody?
I can.
Or in the in the chat.
So I'll type the email, and then I'll give my email address if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. Good.
Good. Yeah. And Paul, this is recorded as well as a YouTube channel, so you could use for your friends and family and customers that hey, I was on the YouTube channel. So even I could send the link as well. But if you say AGGA Greenhouse Chat in the YouTube search, you will find all the last year as well and this year first one as well. So that's kind of very decent, very nice that way.
Okay, excellent.
Good.
Okay. Do you have another email address? Okay.
Yeah, he put that in. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Beth is asking, do you have two email addresses? But I think one is, I don't know. Can you answer that one, Paul, for Beth? Do you have two email addresses? Is what she's asking.
So the one that I typed in was our company website, and then one is my email address.
Okay.
I do have a sec.
Sorry, go ahead.
I do have another email address that I use sometimes for thermal printing, but this is my primary one.
But you still get them at thermal printing?
Yes.
Okay, I sent you an email to that one.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. Okay, thank you very much again, Paul. Mirza, do you have any questions that came in these past couple of weeks from growers?
Absolutely. I have a small PowerPoint I will share with you here and go from there. Yes, absolutely. As the season get busy, so I get busy. This is the summary of the topic I will discuss. I got an email that a company by the name HP is making hydrogen peroxide via electrolysis. So that information triggered me to talk about hydrogen peroxide, and other inquiries are coming in with the algae. So I'll talk about that. The dreaded aphids are on peppers already. There was a nice write-up I didn't see here, but eGrow highlighted leaf spot on Calibroca and other possible diseases. And then at the end, combining plants in hanging basket. I call them shared spaces. You know, when plants share space, we call them shared spaces. That's a new name I coined, normally used for human beings, but a hanging basket is a shared space between different plant species, and we have to make them happy. Okay. Hydrogen peroxide, you're able to see it, of course. Okay.
Yeah, we are. Thank you, Mirza.
Okay, all right. Hydrogen peroxide, it uses water is H2O, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Everybody knows that. Hydrogen peroxide is 2 oxygen and 2 water, H2O2. But as such, hydrogen peroxide is very unstable. So it is stabilized. Ozone is O3, just oxygen is O2. And the xylitol is 27% hydrogen peroxide, and with about 2% peroxyacetic acid. Cyanidate 5, 23% hydrogen peroxide, and 5%, 5.3% peroxyacetic acid. So in xylitol and cyanidate, they have combined the oxidative properties of oxygen together, both hydrogen peroxide and peroxyacetic acid. So H2 is stabilized using some other chemicals, buffers. The pH is generally around 4 when you buy the hydrogen peroxide. When mixed with water, the pH rises and the free oxygen is released into the surrounding. This oxygen is unstable and must find a partner, organic matter particle, an algae, a cell, a bacteria, or a fungus to attach to, and this oxidizes those cells, practically kills them. And organic matter includes algae, bacteria, fungi, peat moss, coconut fiber. So that's why if we drench them, it will oxidizes the surface and doesn't go that deep. By the time it flows through, it will kill the, it get neutralized pretty quickly into water and oxygen. So pretty good chemical that way. Bleach, I just want to alert some, I did get some call that they want to use bleach. Bleach is sodium hypochlorite, NaOCl. So bleach has a pH of 13, very alkaline, opposite of hydrogen peroxide. And when mixed with water, it releases OCl, which produces oxygen and chlorine, a gas which disinfects. And bleach should never be mixed with any ammonium-based chemical, because then it releases a gas. You see, I remember an incident where a tomato grower who was a Second World War veteran mixed it because he used to do it during the Second World War, and he has to run out of the greenhouse and all the crop was damaged because chlorine level was pretty high. So we have to be careful with these chemicals. Using proper rate is very important. Labels are very good, but because they give all the information, so sometimes it's difficult to filter out what is for the greenhouses. So normally they will say 1 part to 100 parts, 1 part to 500 parts, 1 part to 1,000 parts. So each has got its application. Generally, 1 to 100 will kill the bacteria and algae. 1 to 500 for disinfection. 1 to 1,000 generally used in the fogging machines. Remember again your parts per million. Last time I also gave this formula, but a very quick calculation. All of you should remember it so that you could you won't damage your crop. 1 milliliter per liter or 1 gram per liter of a chemical. Just multiply the percentage with 10 ppm. So for example, hydrogen peroxide food grade is 35%. So 1 milliliter of 35% peroxide, 1 milliliter, a liter is 1000 milliliter. So it's 35 times 10, 350 parts per million will be your ratio. 1 milliliter of 27% peroxide, which is a xylitol, is 270 parts per million. 1 milliliter per 100 ml becomes 3,500 parts per million. So remember that a quick calculation, any chemical, as long as you know the percentage, doesn't matter is a fertilizer or it's a chemical. If you use 1 milliliter per liter, then multiply the number by 10, it will give you the ppm which comes out. So in this way, you could quickly calculate if you are overdoing it or you are using the proper rates. This was the picture in the eGrow. That's a nice publication from US, comes over leaf spot of Calibroca. This was a typical extension person. He found it, brought to the lab and checked it out. It turns out this is a fungal, a cercospora, and some powdery mildew, and avoiding wetting the leaves close to evening, air movement, 5-27 type fungicide could also be used as a protectant. This will happen more likely in our March crop, but I just want to alert you that this might come around on these plants. Then eGrow also shared a picture of some begonias, which were showing these leaf type of damage, and generally waterlogged condition, oxygen depletion in the root zone, fungus pythium causes the root rot, and gray mold was also weaker. Basically, they're weaker plant because roots are affected by the fungus pythium. So that could wipe out your crop as well if the roots are not healthy. And then this was, I just want to share that how did the pH of 6.8 affected the germination and early seeding development of the tomato seedling. Stay too long under cover, then stretch it. pH was pretty high, then become very weak and more susceptible to pythium attacks. So if you're germinating your own, you have to be very careful. Remove the cover quickly. And this is how fungus pythium will look like. If you look at where my cursor is, this is what the geranium look like from the top, all turning purple, a little bit cold temperature, but once you dig them out, notice how this cursor is all the black root tips. So plant didn't get a chance to produce roots because they were waterlogged. And this is a disease of overwatering, waterlogging, reduced oxygen. So I call them, good growers don't get that because you water them properly. And then bedding plants after unpacking. This was the last slide, but expect that to happen when the plants come in. Michael ships them pretty healthy. Other shippers are pretty good as well. But if they have last year, if you recall, during pandemic, they were held on by the truckers too long. So gray mold botrytis, good time to be alert because we are not ventilating. A lot of condensation from the roof could drop on the plants. Disease of cold temperature and condensation on plants, high humidity and low temperature at nighttime, low feed to maintain color, transplant them as soon as possible. Roverall spray will be helpful. So these are few steps which you could take if you find gray mold. This was a good example on Gerbera from eGrow that they thought it looks like a boron deficiency, but ultimately they were cyclamen mites on them. So Diagnostic is always a challenge. This is where we could help you a lot. If something like that happened, send me a picture, and then I could ask you questions, and finally we could diagnose it. Vegetable growers are pretty advanced. Growers are sending me picture. When they see first cucumber developing, they're very happy and very excited because that is not going to be shipped, that the family will eat. So this fruit will be ready to pick in 2 weeks. These are mini cucumbers. And in summer, about take a week. Those are mini. Long English cucumbers take about 14 days from flowers. Peppers, aphids, this grower sent me a picture. He missed them. He was scouting, but missed them in one spot. And then he used a drench of a registered chemical called bee leaf. Turn hungry insects away with bee leaf. 50 SG insecticide is unique anti-feeding action. Targets. The grower was telling me he saw some aphids who was not very happy, diseased ones. So within 30 minutes, it start working. So it is safe for, always be careful that is it safe for any future IPM. So bee leaf, they say, it has added benefits too. It fits into any rotation plan and is IPM friendly with low impact to honeybees and many other beneficial insects. This was an interesting case of early tomatoes in winter under LED lights sent by a grower. Always challenged to diagnose these one, but is a more like a physiological. When the tomato fruit was developing, suddenly the sugars could not supply the skin at the right time. So the skin was soft, calcium was not involved. So enough calcium did not transport to the neck. And later on, gray mold botrytis came as well. So early tomatoes always have a challenge. Very interesting. This is a good facts here. The grower does a sap analysis. So he sends some leaf. So they extracted juice out of it. This is a company right in Red Deer which does that. Tomato sap analysis. Total sugar in the leaves, old leaves and new leaves. Old leaves had 1.1% carbohydrates and sugars, and new leaves had 1.5%, ranges 1 to 2. Interesting thing, pH in the leaves, optimum range 5.5 to 6. So pretty close to what we are feeding. But look at the EC value in the cell juices. Optimum range is 11 to 15 millisiemens or millimoles. That will kill the plant in the root zone. But old leaves had 14.7 and new leaf had 16.0. So I was fascinated with this fact that how leaves don't get damaged with the cell sap because it is enclosed in a cell wall. So this is amazing thing about this plant. And late afternoon today, a grower sent me this email. Hey, I'm having trouble with my heat at nighttime. I have a 30 by 96 greenhouse with the Modine heaters at each end. The front heater is 108,000 BTU output, and the second one is 120,000 BTU. I have the temperature set at 30 degrees and my night temperature are matching 11 to 15 degrees. Do you have any suggestions or someone that I can call other than the gas company to see what's going on? So I responded, hi. Rule of thumb is that we need 150 BTU per square foot for heaters capacity in our area based on the last 10-year average. We have, you have 2880 square feet. So 2880 by 150, 423,000 square feet BTU. So you have 123,000 plus 108. So this is what's happening. So that's the problem. If time permits, join the Greenhouse chat tonight and learn, and we can seek input from other growers as well. Here's the link. So I send in the link. Okay, I will see if I can join, and thanks. So I need way bigger heaters than I have fans. Many times these heating companies don't have any idea what is the heating capacity we need for a greenhouse. So good information for beginners here, 150 BTU. And the last slide is
Mirza,
combining shared
Mirza,
spaces. Yep.
that's input BTU.
That's input. That's the heating furnace capacity.
That's right. That's right. So that, you know, usually on the furnace is both based on the efficiency of the furnace.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you have an old furnace, without very high energy efficient features, or anti-condensating or whatever, an old furnace, it probably operates only at 50 to 60% of the input BTU.
This was about 78 to 80%. You're right. Still an old furnace.
Yeah. So 70-80% is fairly good. But if you have old heaters, you can no longer rely on the input BTUs to give you 70, 80, 90% of output BTUs, because that does diminish.
And most of the heat loss occurs from the roof because the heat rises at the top. So so
we had a grower last year that had a even smaller than that heating capacity. And we talked to the grower, and they were a little distraught. Again, no experience. So what we did is we you and I suggested that they built a tent inside the greenhouse to cut down on their area. I mean, you have sophisticated greenhouses have curtains that close and open at night, but most of us don't have those features. So we're losing a tremendous amount of heat through the gables and through the foundation and through the plastic, the double plastic roof even. So if you were, if you're operating in March and April, 150,000 BTUs is not what you require. You would only require that if you're going through the dead of winter.
Exactly.
So temporarily putting up a structure inside your greenhouse where you could make a little tunnel inside your greenhouse that maybe covers part of the walkways on the outside, or even build it away from the outside and use your center benches if you're not full, would greatly help keep the temperature where you need it to be.
Absolutely. Great points, Michael. And I always find that the heat distribution, I visited a greenhouse, a new one constructed, they put a heater in, but there's no tube there. So I asked them to put plants in a certain area. And next day he sent me a picture, Dr. Mirza, the plants are dead. So when I noticed all that direct heat at high temperature was touching that, because there was no plenum to have a tube and distribute the heat. So heat distribution is also, if there's a direct furnace, then it will also, the plants which are near the heat, so the hot air, they could be damaged very, very easily. But great.
So when he's saying that he has a fan that he'll plug in, that will also help. Like it's not going to make the greenhouse warmer or your heaters more efficient, but at least where he's measuring 10, 11 degrees Celsius, it might actually, stir the air up a little bit in that building, and he may get a few more degrees out of it, just because, when you, like you say, if you don't have a tube, hot air pools or puddles, in corners of the building.
Absolutely. Great. And the last slide I was sharing was on shared spaces. That's a fancy name for the basket. So always remember, that I could share this. This will be in the recording as well, that when you share iron, efficient, inefficient, general, efficient, always two categories. Geraniums are iron efficient. When the pH is below 5.5, they start picking up more iron and start damaging the leaves. Your petunias and others are inefficient. High pH will make them very alkaline. So always combine proper plants, you see, when I call them share spaces. So that's a new term I'm using. So plant have also, when the share spaces, they have their own requirement, rules, and regulation. And I'm sure experienced grower by now know that very well.
So can
Thank
you
you.
elaborate? Well, can you elaborate a little bit more on what, iron inefficiency means?
Yes, yeah, iron uptake is affected by the pH. For example, Bacopa, Calibroca, they're all iron inefficient. What it means is the slightly acidic pH would not hurt them. Basically, pH below 5, 5.5 and 5, uptake of iron, manganese, boron is 3-4 times higher. And if the pH goes over 6.4 in soilless media, then the iron uptake, they're very inefficient, you see. So that's why they turn yellowish, light green at the top. Fuchsia geraniums are very efficient. New Guinea impatient, very efficient. They start showing edge burning on the lower leaves pretty quickly. And I'm sure in one of the next talk, when we have problems, we will share that more pictures. Petunias inefficient. So the inefficiency means that a certain pH, they cannot absorb iron more efficiently, or when they're efficient like geranium, they will absorb more iron at lower pH.
But that goes for a couple of things, Mirza.
Yeah.
Do you think that next time you can share that graph that shows the pH range, and then with that the narrow banding, yeah, you know which one I mean?
Yeah, and that normally happens in early March, so I kept it for next time. So.
Oh, okay, that's good. Sorry, no, that's all good. Yeah, but what Mirza is alluding to is that if you saw iron deficiency on your plants, no matter what it is, that you should check your pH first, because it is possible, it's entirely possible that you've been giving enough iron or calcium or nitrogen, or mostly some of the micros, that you've been giving them enough of that, but because of a pH, an incorrect pH, that you could have a lack of uptake. So if you realize that you had an iron deficiency, you added more iron, and then you realize that it wasn't the iron problem, but it was the pH,
Exactly.
and you correct your pH. You correct your pH, then all of a sudden all this iron becomes available, and that might actually cause toxicities too, because it was being fed to the plant but not being absorbed. So you get a buildup, and then when you correct your pH, you could have an explosion.
Absolutely.
Too much. Yeah.
Very good point, Michael. Thanks.
Okay, and I will share. Debbie had a question. I will share my temperature chart with you next week. It's a temperature chart that we use to say, okay, when your seedlings have arrived and you're into growing these seedlings, these plants, these baskets, what can you do to help keep them from stretching under warmer conditions in March, and and then when should you start dropping your temperatures? Because you should start dropping your temperatures fairly quickly. Recently we said that if you need to wear a coat, if you need to wear a sweater in the greenhouse, your plants are happy.
Good one. It all depends on the type of sweater, I guess, and how much sugar you drank, Michael. So because that's your sweater.
I remember a slide that you showed many years ago, Mirza, when you were first a researcher in Brooks, and you were visiting a greenhouse operator, and he had young cucumber plants in his greenhouse, and he was wearing no shirt, and you were wearing a
Yeah, Abe Danudan, I still remember him. And he was that was my first or second visit, and he was looking at me. Here you're wearing a jacket, and here I'm without.
Yeah, he had no shirt on at all, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was looking funny way at me. Look at me, Absolutely. Yeah, that was a nice picture.
Yeah, it was. I remember that one. So.
Okay, Michael, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any questions for Mirza? Did we Did we explain these things properly? You know, if there's anything, just chime in. You don't even have to put it into chat. You can
I do have a publication, hydrogen peroxide. If you need one, please send me an email. I'll send you a copy.
That publication you have, I often refer to it, Mirza. It's really good. It's really good. Like it tells you what certain concentrations of hydrogen peroxide will do, and you know, it also teaches you that you don't have to be that scared of hydrogen peroxide, even if you had 400 parts per million residual coming out of the end of the hose. Nothing happens because, and I believe that you have in that publication even that you can use hydrogen peroxide as a herbicide.
Yeah, with tree seedling, for example, we will use to kill the algae, for example. I like to start using it earlier on. Yeah. Okay. Shirley, drop me on my Gmail account, please, so that I could remember it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Simon, quick comments on this machine I'm mentioning. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. Is it basically electrolysis of water to make it H2O on site? Have you known about this machine at all?
I've heard of it. I believe there is 1 or 2 growers in Medicine Hat area who are using it, and yeah, they installed it really out of concern for fusarium.
Right. Okay.
And the name of the unit, it's escaping me at the moment.
HP, small HP, big. Yeah, I'm sending a note to the greenhouse growers on that. Yeah, HP Industries. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, yeah, really areas where there's high root disease pressure, those types of systems are really useful. Right. I don't know much about it beyond that, but I have heard good things. And if I can make a couple quick comments just on some of your slides there, mostly it's just to elaborate. There were, yeah, it was pretty comprehensive there. But on peroxide, I'm a big fan of the chemistry. So I'm a biochemistry guy, so I get a little bit nerdy when it comes to certain compounds, but I think people underestimate the potential of peroxide and all the different applications. So I would just encourage everyone to, maybe think of other ways that they can implement peroxide in their greenhouse. So for water treatment, it's great. For structure, a lot of growers use it as a step in their clean out program. And then you mentioned xylitol for in-crop use on foliar as well. So just a very useful product, and a nice rule of thumb as well. So take a 35% peroxide, you can dilute that 1 to 11 parts water to get a 3%, to get kind of the standard surface sanitation. And then I was going to make a quick comment as well on mealybugs, because Vanessa mentioned earlier she's having some mealybug pressure. Belief, also you mentioned it, Dr. Mirza, it actually just got a registration for mealybugs as of, I believe, last month. So yeah, so that's another useful chemistry for mealybugs if they get to that point where you're really not able to control them with other means. So yeah, so I mentioned that.
It has systemic properties, so it will, they say within 30 minutes if the plant is transpiring good. So make sure that you're doing it just maybe early in the morning when plant is actively transpiring. It could absorb the roots there. Yeah, I think that's a good one there.
Is it Simon? Is it a contact belief?
No, is a drench.
It's a systemic, so you can apply it through for ornamentals. I believe it's registered, so you'd apply it as a drench, but you can also apply it as a foliar spray.
Okay, good.
Because mealybugs are excellent hiders, you know, so they play hide and seek very well.
Yeah.
So a drench would be good, you know, because then it's absorbed everywhere. So okay, good.
Right.
Yes, especially for growers who've used Endeavor in the past. Endeavor is no longer registered in Canada. It's been discontinued, so Belief is a good alternative.
Any other thing for aphids coming up, Simon, by any chance in your knowledge?
Nothing in the registration process I'm aware of, but in kind of all the standard products that you'd use, so Contos, Altus, I generally recommend like this time of year, early season, to look at beneficial insects, preventative measures, and maybe rotate with some bioinsecticides, and then if need be, you can look at some of the more synthetic curative chemistries, Contos, Altus. I tend to leave those as a last resort when things get out of control as for my recommendation. Yeah.
Right. And also, can you update us on the note you sent to the AGGA board on a cucumber green mottle mosaic virus vaccine?
Absolutely. So they're still in the early stages. I heard recently, since I sent that update, that apparently there are some concerns around the product being implemented or used correctly, because I guess there's been issues in the past with other plant vaccines. Pepino is one example where if it happens to interact with a strain of the virus that's present in the greenhouse, it can actually mutate and make matters worse. So really, one of the main considerations for this CukeGuard product, it's called, is making sure the greenhouse is very clean and testing properly before implementing it. So I think they're really trying to do some background work and make sure that the risk is low before they release the product widely. So we don't have a release date yet. They're doing some trials in Leamington, and then there'll be some trials in Lower Mainland, and then hopefully by summer it should be available commercially across Canada.
Okay.
Beth is asking Simon if Belief is only for peppers.
Nope. Belief will have ornamental registration and other vegetable crops as well.
Okay.
And nurseries as well, I should mention. Yeah.
Just look in the chat. Vanessa has a question, Simon. Oh, it's for me.
Scroll down.
Wait. Do you know how, I guess the question was for me, do you know for hydroponics how far apart the lettuce needs to be? Referring to the NFT channels that Dr. Mirza sent out a few days ago. That's actually not a question that I can answer, but I mean, those channels, when I looked at them on the picture, they were, they were preset. The holes were preset. So I would say, to get good density, you can have probably 6 to 8 inches apart. Probably 8 inches apart. The holes, the lettuce heads, because the lettuce, even when it's mature, the leaves can touch a little bit in the middle. So I'd say 8 inches. Would you agree, Simon?
Yes. Sorry. What was the? I don't see in the chat. What is the question?
How far the hole should be apart in an NFT lettuce system?
You mean the styrofoam channel or the actual channel? Where we're using eaves troughs that's the channel?
No, it's more those NFT channels.
I'm referring to the email you sent a few days ago with from Dr. Hassan, I think it is, with all the stuff that was for sale.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was NFT, and I was trying to convert.
Yeah, I think it's when I looked at the picture, it's about 6 inches. But those are smaller one, those are not commercial unit. Those are for resale for basements and hobbyists. So I see they're 6 inches. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Commercially, we use based on how big you want to grow romaine. It could be 8 inches. I know Joe Doof uses about 10 inches spacing. Yeah, so different, but those one are 6 inches. Yeah.
Great. Good.
I see one more question. Yeah, to order Xeritol, I'll type my email in the chat here, and anyone can feel free to reach out, and we do stock Xeritol. So.
Okay.
Simon, I think I talked to you about this before about the mix rates for the chemicals. Often they're done for like the hectares and not so much the greenhouses. How, if I just want to run it through our lines, like pre-startup, to get out anything that was missed last year, like in terms of algae and whatnot for using Xeritol, what if I'm putting it through one of our injectors, like a dosatron injector, at say 1/100, what should I put it straight out of the bucket, or do I need to dilute it first? Like, I don't want to go crazy on the amount that I'm using, but
so it depends how high your injector can go, but generally you should be able to inject straight from the container. But I would suggest maybe looking at Sanidate rather than Xeritol.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Simon. I use the Sanidate for line cleaning, mostly because we use Nature Source, you know, and Simon would have the same recommendation based on their organic based fertilizer that they plant food that they sell. You know, these things have a tendency to build up biofilm in the lines over time. And so what we do for line cleaning is we make a solution of pH 2. And we put that into the lines first, let that sit overnight, and then the next day we stick the injector, the 1/100 injector, straight into the Sanidate 5 jug, and purge all the lines with that, push out the pH 2, and leave that overnight again with the Sanidate 5, and then rinse it out.
Yeah, and I have a nice line cleaning program from BioSafe that I can share with you, Vanessa. It's basically as Michael just alluded to there, but just with a bit more detail.
thank you.
Okay, Michael, are you ready?
Yeah. So
You could share the screen if you like.
Simon, did you put your email address in the chat if you can?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some other people that are interested in you know, in that handout.
Sure, sounds good.
So if you send Simon an email, if he puts that in the chat, then he'll send you the publication. Is it emailable?
Yes, and I can even send it to Dr. Mirza if we want to put it in the comments on the YouTube channel as well for the video.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is recording is on now. If you want to take a couple of minutes to tell more, it will go directly on the recording.
Sure, hold on, I'll pull it up here. Here it is.
So that's your protocol for cleaning up the lines.
Yes, so I'm just gonna share my screen really quickly here.
Okay, just let me give you the permission.
Okay.
Just a second. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it's a very simple document. You can even, anyone interested can even do a quick screenshot, just do a screen grab of this. This is all there is to it. It's just the 2 steps and a little pro tip. So, and I'll send the link in the chat, my email and everything. So
Yeah, sure. So basically what you're saying is Sanidate 5, because it has got high peroxyacetic acid, remove mineral buildup. Step 2, inner working layer of biofilms. Okay.
So this is a second product here,
Okay.
also from BioSafe, and this one's specifically for hard surface sanitation. Right. It's called GC, or Green Clean Acid Cleaner.
Right.
So yeah, just another active ingredient for removing that biofilm buildup.
Okay. Yeah, this is the recording, so that's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And we can use it at the beginning of the crop as well as at the end of the crop, or would you have a preference, Simon?
So no plants in the greenhouse. So usually we see this done once a year for ornamentals, just during clean out, one good flush, and then implementing a low rate, low ppm peroxide or chlorine dioxide type product for in-crop use, and that's just to kind of help minimize the buildup throughout the year as well, instead of doing it all in one shot. Yeah.
And what do you call that product that you can use during the crop?
So you can just use standard 35% peroxide. And I believe at the bedding plant workshop, I talked a little bit about to Dr. Mirza's group there, the HydroPure is a stabilized hydrogen peroxide, and there's some other products out there. They just use a chelated silver to stabilize that peroxide, because as Dr. Mirza mentioned, it's a very reactive chemistry. So if you have very dirty lines, if you put regular food grade peroxide in, it has a tendency to kind of react right away, especially if your tanks or your lines are quite dirty. So getting that biofilm at the end of the lines is always a challenge. So this new, granted it's a bit more of an expensive version of peroxide, will help maintain that peroxide till the end of the lines, so it's reacting down there rather than right away. So.
And I thought peracetic acid and xerothol and insanidate kind of did the same thing. Is that not quite true?
It's the same idea. It's just peroxide. The peroxide is just, I think it's a little bit more food safe, right? So it can be used in vegetable crops throughout the crop cycle, whereas you wouldn't want to use the peroxyacetic acid or this green clean acid cleaner in crop. That would be cause some issues, and it can even break down some of these strong acid products, even bleach, for example, too. It can have a tendency to break down PVC, and that obviously poses a risk for food crops there if you have some of those petroleum products ending up in the plant. So
right. And we buy some test strips to test once in a while, making sure that we have residual peroxide coming out. Do you know anybody else? We buy them from Concept Control in Edmonton, but do you know anybody else that sells test strips? Do you?
We do, yeah. We sell, I think they just do the standard 1 to 100 ppm range. I think like the hot tub type place will sell them as well. Yeah, even Amazon. Amazon's probably the cheapest, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll Google that, because I ran out. So okay.
Michael, for the benefit of any vegetable growers on our peer, for if you're recycling your water and fusarium is an issue, then my own study and many commercial growers, what they do is that they hold that water for about 30 minutes at almost 1,000 ppm of peroxide for holding, and then that will kill the fusarium in 30 minutes, and then use it mix it with fresh water and recycle it. So that's a good way to remove any water contamination if you're recycling your water. So, but we could always help any specific issue if there's a lithium or fusarium. Fusarium is catching up. I see a little bit more and more on peppers. Last year, one of the greenhouse had pretty bad fusarium on peppers, and peroxide could have helped them, but by the time they spotted it, it was too late. So that's where we could figure out the rates of these chemical products, and very, very helpful. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Michael, you could share your screen if you like.
Okay. Yep.
Good. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what's happening at AGGA Greenhouses in week 8? And thank you for suggesting, Mirza, to put this on the PowerPoint. I had it up on my other screen here, so it's it's much better than somebody timed me, and it was 7.5 minutes that I was
Right,
struggling to get. Last 2 weeks ago was up. So a couple of things that are growing at AGGA greenhouses. One of them is the Jurassic begonias. We have special permission to sell these as a liner. They came to us as tissue culture quite early, because that's all they had, available, unfortunately. And but they're nice and big right now. They're in a 70 millimeter Alipot. So I don't show the Alipot that greatly here, but it is what it is. And we sell those 18 to a tray as a mix. It's a mixture. So you can see here the different colors, the different textures on the Jurassic begonias, and you would get 18 plants in 2 or 3 of each of the different colors. This is our first seeding of non-stop begonias that has been transplanted. Non-stop begonia is extremely slow crop, so these seedlings would have been started probably in November, end of November. They sit in a 512 tray for at least 10 weeks, and then they're being transplanted into a 50 size Alipot. They sit there for another 4 or 5 weeks, so these are ready for probably week 10, in a week or 2 from now. If we get some light, some sun, that will help. You will also see up here that in the top, we have some high pressure sodium lights, and that is not for the Jurassics, but it's for the non-stops. And we use that so that we make sure that the plant does receives long days and grows vegetatively, grows leaves rather than makes a root. Some other shots of the greenhouse that we are really filling up. So begonias transplanted, succulents are ready to go. We also do the same thing with the succulents as we do with the begonias. If you order a mixture of echeveria, you'll get 50 plugs, but not all 50 of the same kind. You'll get an assortment, of maybe 5, 6, 7 different varieties of each of the echeveria or crassula or whatever. And you'll also see on your left here some of the mother plants, the citrosa mother plants that we have. So these are some of the benches that are filling up with young plants. On your left, you'll see the geraniums, and on the right, happens to be English ivy. And so you get some shots of things that are happening there. This is Red Sensation Dracaena or cordyline, and they come to us in the summer of. They came to us in the summer of 2022. They're already probably a year old from tissue culture to the size that we get them at from our supplier, and then they sit with us for almost a year. And by the time the consumer sees these plants, they're almost 2 years old. We overwinter a lot of cannas for some of our customers, but also for landscape projects. If somebody needed a few, some years we have extras. It looks right now is that we might have some extra 2-gallon cannas. I'm not making any promises. They're just waking up, as you can see. And sometimes this happens. This tray I found on the weekend, close to the edge of the greenhouse. We have heat pipe below, as you can see on my cursor at the bottom, and we have misters above. But this row of trays happens to sit really close to the outside wall, so there's no overlap here from the misters, and it just got too dry. Sitting there. And we tried to revive them. I didn't look at them today yet, but hopefully, some of them have perked up. You can see if you do not mist your plants enough that are unrooted as unrooted as cuttings, that they absolutely go flat, and some of them might not recuperate. because the damage is done. And I also show what we call a farm tag. So on these farm tags, you'll find in the products that we sell, and you can transplant the farm tag into your basket or your plant or your pot, so that you have a reference. But the main thing for the farm tag is for us as young plant producers to keep track of where the plant came from in the greenhouse, in the mother plant greenhouse. In this case, Vivero is out of Mexico. So this will tell. I don't know what is what on these farm tags, but this will tell if we had an issue where this mother plant was, the person that took the cuttings, when it was done. It has a whole bunch of information hidden in the barcode of this product. So so if you see these weird tags in our plug trays, then you kind of know what that's all about. We do a fair amount of green dracaenas. There is a little bit of an uproar in the industry that for 2024 that there's no dracaena seed available. So we are scrambling right now to see if we can find some seed somewhere for the 2024 season. But be aware, this would be the first time in the history of, I think, most greenhouses that they wouldn't have any green dracaena. So hopefully something is going to happen so that we have some. These are carnations or dianthus, and we struggled for many years growing dianthus carnations. We ended up with plants no roots, and it was just a real struggle. So when we were in Columbus, we were told to get the carnations in very early. So these came in week 47. So that would be the 47th week of 22. And we grew them, and we pinched them, and we grew them really cold. And so now it's become almost a 20-week crop. And but they're really branching out nicely, and they're going to have multiple buds, multiple flower heads, rather than just one. There's one that you can see some of the lateral shoots starting, and even though this crop was planted a long time ago, it's not floppy, it's not soft. It's a very interesting crop. I now enjoy growing carnations again. This is a shot of the house where we grow perennials. We added perennials to our lineup for 2023, and again, these were grown in 70 millimeter Ella pots. They were transplanted in there, I should say. And we did this before Christmas and over Christmas and a little bit in January. And we're growing this crop quite cool, below 16 degrees, between 10 and 16 degrees, just to get them to beef up and start branching. And again, for these, you will be able to buy a mixture of things. So for instance, if you got Achillea, then you would have got either 6 or 9 plants of Achillea. You either get 3 or 2 varieties of this particular plant. So you're going to have a plant that needs to go into a 1-gallon pot because it's already in something that resembles a 3.5-inch pot. So this is not a crop that you want to just put on the bench as it is. You need to transplant this into something. And these perennials we chose are all first-year flowering. So there's echinacea and euchera, and there's some poppies in the front here, and there is monarda and achillea and bellis and aquilecia and a few other things like that. So there's a good selection available on our website, so you can order online there. This is what the echinacea currently looks like. It's really branching out. That's what we're looking for. And then this slide is of our houses, one of our houses with the seeded seedlings. So a little bit different watering system, and no extra lights because we use these houses a little bit later. And growing seedlings in here like, snapdragons and pansies and wave petunias, all these kinds of things. This is a shot. We received just over 100,000 unrooted cuttings last week, so we managed to get them all stuck, and so this house was pretty much filled up with cuttings in week 7. So they're just trying to be happy here, and we're trying to keep the environment ideal for heating. So we have overhead LED lights, we have computerized misting, and bottom heat under the trays. And then my last slide is, as we discussed on the grower day, but we talked about trays with ribs, the importance of trays with ribs in the sidewall that will force the roots from going down rather than from spiraling. And I pulled out this petunia today, and I thought, like, this is a perfect example of why ribs are so important and forcing the roots down. So, okay, that's the end of my slideshow. This is what's happening at AGGA Greenhouses in week 8.
Perfect, Michael. That is very good. Again, an update what's going on. And has shipping started? What's your shipping week now? Is that the
we're in week 8. We are week 8, and we have 3 very early orders going out.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous, about shipping things this early. It's the cold week. Fortunately, those 2 growers that are getting the 3 growers that are getting our pickup customers.
Right.
So they are, they're coming to us, so we can pack their vans or whatever they're bringing us, and
Right.
they can take it from there, and they're local, so it helps. But yeah, again, it's a cold week right now in Edmonton,
Yeah.
and we are beginning to ship. So week 9 will be a lot busier, which is really the first week that we would like to ship comfortably, and then it just goes steep from there. Yep.
Yeah. Last year you shared some tips on unpacking. They arrive. You want to do it next week or this week?
Yeah,
or...
we can do that. Yes.
Yeah. Just quickly
I
tell
have
us.
I have a small PowerPoint presentation on what happened, what to look for when you're unpacking the boxes. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe you could do it next week.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, we can do that. Next week, we have a speaker. I talked
Not next week, 2 weeks.
Sorry, 2 weeks. Yes, next time. Yes, sorry, you're right. Yeah. The next time we'll be back on a Monday, and we have a speaker from a company called Express Seed Company, and she is going to talk to us about the visits that she's made to these stock plant farms. In Mexico, Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica. She's visited many of these farms, and she's going to talk to us about how these farms are really a community. They have what they have for services for their employees. I thought when she was here a couple of weeks ago, she talked with so much passion about how she was so impressed that the companies look after their employees as good as they do. So I think it'd be interesting to hear from her in 2 weeks.
That's great. I see our Vanessa at Twin Acres. I noticed you're pretty active on the Facebook. So what's going on? You are putting a lot of work there and a lot of customer related things. Tell us what's going on.
Well, what I've noticed since coming to the industry is our area, we were 5 years without a local greenhouse.
Right.
I came at the end of COVID is when we started, and I find that there's a big gap in knowledge. So just trying to help people be successful, because I think if they're successful, that just helps us. So we're doing lots of things behind the scenes this year just to make it easier for my staff, because most of them have some gardening experience, but they obviously don't know everything that we bring in, and I spend a lot more time than they do with looking at the stuff. So, just trying to make it easier with them to find things and identify, if it's a sun lover, if it's a shade lover, whatever. when I built our second greenhouse, I created a 900 square foot startup area that I would be able to, not have to start up our 2,000 or 4,000 square feet. I just wanted a small area to start up. And so that is going, and I'm not looking at the gas meter reading this week. I am sure it's going to go up.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I've actually got about, between the plants that I kept over from last year, I just keep them in the house in a house heat area.
Yeah,
with some lights, and I got them all back up to the greenhouse before we got cold. So I've got about 60% of that 900 square feet full with either starter plants or whatever, and we also grow tomatoes and cucumbers for the produce to sell that up here. We're just trying to start more of a farm to table type market, so that I'm a part of a group that's starting up here with that. So a lot of that area is taken up with those tomato plants that are a little large for what I'm used to, because I'm used to, they're just coming out of the dirt, but these guys are 6 inches tall already, or taller. So hopefully we'll get those transplanted in if it ever warms up in March. But yeah, lots of fun.
Tomatoes are always fascinates me. A lot of the one grower shares weekly picture for me, that how from tiny plots to we really they respond to temperature management perfectly. If we could keep them 20-degree day, 20-degree night, average temperature, say 22 day, 18 night, 20 average, they are just perfect, very short internodes, very strong flowers are coming up, good first cluster. So tomatoes are always fascinating. They respond to an average temperature. And temperature, again, for all our participants, is that plant work on day average temperature, night average temperature, 24-hour night temperature. They respond to that. They're quite compact if the day and night average is close to 20-degree. Right now, growers are asking me what are the best set points. I'll tell them it will determine on your sunlight. If the light is more than 300 joules, then you got to give them a night temperature a little bit cooler than before. You see, so I think you're very right. Knowledge component. Growers who know how to manage the temperature properly, they are hitting 60 kilogram commercial crop, so yeah, fascinating on knowledge side. And that's what we are trying with the Greenhouse Chat as well, as much knowledge as possible, and is multi-dimensional, is just not one aspect, everything together, your insect control, biological control, use of chemical, fertilizer, nutrients, water, temperature. So fascinating how to grow healthy plants and also bringing good customers in as well. Excellent. Yeah. I see our A Savage is there. How is your greenhouse going right now?
Funny you should ask. I just posted a question. So we're in the process of putting in a drip line, feathering irrigation.
I see.
Now, they've asked me if I want a single sprayer emitter or a dual sprayer emitter. What's the difference?
Okay, any grower like to comment, Michael?
It can be a couple of different models. I would ask whoever you're dealing with, Jason, or whoever at Southern Irrigation, to send you a picture. If it is what I think it is, then it would be a T-shaped emitter that has one entry point into the pipe, and then two spaghetti tubes coming off of that, so that you can put them in two plants, one plant on one side, one plant on the other side. The advantage of that is, of course, that you have less holes in your pipe. A disadvantage of that would be that if it plugged up, then you'd have two plants that are right away, out of water rather than one. So
Okay.
there's advantages to both systems. If you have a emitter, then you have to also adjust for if you have a dual emitter, you need to adjust for the amount of liters per hour that this emitter puts out. For hanging basket, for instance, with a single emitter, we will put in a 2 liter per hour. But if you have one emitter with 2 drip tubes, you're going to need to make sure that they sell you an emitter that lets you have enough water.
Michael,
Okay.
this is okay. I think we need to understand single sprayer emitter. So emitter is generally come on you put it and it emits water slowly. If it's a sprayer emitter, then it is hooked up on one stake and it has got 2 sides to it.
Yes, but this would, oh, so is it a sprayer emitter?
It's a stake.
Yeah, stake, yes.
So
Yeah,
if it's a stake, then it's an emitter, then. Just an emitter,
Yeah.
then, okay. Not,
Yeah,
not,
then it's not a
spray.
sprayer. Yeah, Mirza's right. Then it's not a sprayer emitter. Then it's a drip emitter.
Drip emitter, yeah, yeah. If it's put in a basket on a stake, and then water goes through there, you see, on a like vegetable grower use it. Yeah.
Yes. That's what they're giving me is these stakes that I'm supposed to put in.
Okay.
And then he's asking me if I wanted to spray, I guess, on either side or spray one way.
Yeah.
Does that make
so
sense?
One emitter per plant. Is that your one emitter per plant or two plants, one emitter? Are those your options?
Yes, I believe so. I think it's the one stake in there, in the
Spike.
plant, in the
Stake means
basket.
a spike, and then
Yes.
one tube comes there.
Yes,
So that is a single emitter then.
okay,
So I think your single should be pretty good, unless you've got a 14-inch basket, then you could put 2 emitters there. Otherwise, single emitters are pretty good. And if you have a picture, ask them, okay, give me a picture, what is a single emitter? Because the word sprayer emitter is a little bit confusing. So, and then drop me an email and we could discuss what will be best for you.
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Always learning. Simon, do you have any comment on this one? What you understand?
No, I do not. Sorry, this
Okay.
one's
Okay.
over my head.
Okay, fine. That's good. Shirley is pretty quiet today. Shirley, what's going on? Your coffee didn't work out as you thought? Shirley, are you there? She's there, but her camera
Oh, she
is.
just unmuted. She just unmuted herself.
Okay, okay. Shirley, why you're so quiet?
Oh. So Tasha is there. Tasha is building a new greenhouse. How's that going, Tasha?
Tasha, are you listening? Okay, I guess anybody else? Levi, how is it going on your greenhouse? Are you still there?
Hello. Did I figure out how to unmute myself?
Okay, okay.
Oh gosh, that was a long experience.
Okay, I thought you were ignoring us, so okay.
No, I'm getting over a flu today, and so apparently I can't figure out how to unmute myself.
Okay,
But yes.
How's the construction going?
Oh, it's going slow right now. We're just trying to figure out how to dry the floors because it is a mud pit in there and we need to lay landscaping cloth down, but it is a bunch of clay mud. So, if anyone has any great ideas on how to dry your floors, let me know.
So the heat is on? The heat's on in the new place?
Well, so the electrician doesn't quite have the heaters on yet, but they'll be on by the end of the week. But it's just been like warm enough in there because we've had an unseasonably nice February that yes, frost is coming out of the ground and it is very wet.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, you know, usually gravel. So is it just a dirt floor right now? Did you have gravel poured before you put up the greenhouses?
Yeah, I had gravel poured beforehand, but I did not anticipate how many ruts the big machineries would make.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So in some areas the gravel has disappeared. So yes, it'll be a challenge, but you know, we're gonna get her going because we have plans coming in 3 weeks.
Mirza, do you remember Simone from Forget Me Not, who had a deal with a carpet supplier, and she would put a carpet down, you know, and then if the carpet got rotten, she'd put a new layer on top. You remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she greenhouse right here by west side near after you go from Stony Plain. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember.
So she had a friend that owned a carpet store, and anytime they had carpet left over, you know, like big pieces, she'd put them in the aisles, and you know, it kept fungus gnats down, and you know, you're spreading out your weight, you know, on the carpet rather than on, you know, when you're making a pathway, you know, with walking down the same pathway all the time.
Right,
it worked
right.
for her. So you know, maybe before you put your landscape fabric down, throw down some carpet.
You know, that's interesting that you say that, because Ben, my husband, just found somebody on the buy and sell that was selling a bunch of outdoor carpet, and he bought it just in case we needed it. And yeah, his idea is to put it carpet side down so the rubber is facing up.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting 3 weeks.
Oh, there you go.
One question I do have for you guys. Every year our tomatoes get very large and they topple over because we have them in 1 gallon containers. And so, you know, we try to use bamboo stakes to stake them up, but like, there's got to be a better way. Does anyone have a good way of displaying their tomatoes so they don't topple over? I
don't know who, I don't know who sells them, but there is a system that you can get for nursery pots that is generally used outside, and it's a metal cage with circles, you know, that are kind of welded in there, and so you could put the 1 gallon right into each of these circles, all of them, or maybe space them even some more, and then they don't fall over.
Yeah, so spacing is critical, you know, like Michael said, that if they start touching each other, then they will stretch. And then, as I mentioned earlier, keep in an area where the temperature could be balanced out. They stretch if the day is very warm and night is pretty cold. So try to keep your in a cooler area. They will set better flowers as well. So temperature and space will be two big factor, along with some support, like Michael is saying. There's a cage available for your tomatoes. They're all tumbler tomatoes varieties.
Different types of varieties, yeah.
Yeah, they're tumblers. Tumblers are a big fruited one as well.
All of our tumblers I put in hanging baskets, so they're not like they're contained.
I think Lisa is saying that plant them deep. Yeah, you do them in the beginning.
Yeah.
But after that is difficult once they have grown. Yeah, spacing and temperature and a plant cage, a tomato cage. Yeah.
You know, tomato cage is a little tough on a 1 gallon, you know, like because the pot is so much smaller than the cage.
Right.
So a stake is not. So have you considered seeding them later, Tasha, so they don't get so big?
Yeah, that's what I was debating too, if I should just not start them quite as soon.
Yeah, timing in a lot of cases is something you can really you know, adjust your size of your plants with if you start things later.
Yeah, and then
Vanessa, yeah, Vanessa is saying that I start our indeterminate later. Yeah, that's good one.
Yeah. And then last question, and maybe for the gal that's also putting in drip line, for people who are setting up new greenhouses, do you just hire whoever for a plumber to come up with you know, a watering system, or are there professionals that people are utilizing that might be more familiar with how a greenhouse works?
Well, I'm not sure, you know, but I think that Southern Irrigation, the company who sells the parts is very good at advising, you know, the distance between the drippers, the what kind of dripper you need, you know, show you options. So, and I mean, and they do that, you know, so that you hopefully buy their product, but there's no charge for consulting.
Yeah, no, I bought my drip line from them, but just, you know, the actual setup of it, they weren't too
You
sure.
go to the closest greenhouse, like Deb's greenhouse, and you don't look at the plants, you look at the structures, and you take a million pictures and videos while you're there, and then you go home and do it. 'Cause there isn't, as I found putting up ours in the northern area, when you're not a big greenhouse, like, you know, Michael size, IQ size, there's not many people to come and help, but setting up a drip line is not hard. It's just we used a lot of plastic ties, but it's the plumbing part, and Southern Irrigation actually took pictures of it. They like dry fitted it on the floor, and I think it was Andrew from Red Deer took pictures of it and sent it, and I hired a plumber because I have no experience, but I've learned lots now and I could probably do it myself from the pictures. But we hired a plumber just to put the glue pieces together, and I did everything in the actual greenhouse. He did everything in the water room. So you can do it.
Yeah, this is Deb here. I was gonna say I have made changes to my system because I wouldn't have enough pressure in different places. So I would call a plumber you really like, because you're going to need them, and get a good pressure tank. I don't know what good is, but you need a good one, and pump, and make sure you've got big supply lines, right, Michael?
Yes. Yes, we should get John Bow to speak one time, because you know, when we built ours, we took many pages out of his playbook, where, you know, he designed everything, oversized everything, and we did the same. We have oversized supply lines, you know, lots of pumps, big pumps, you know, certain pumps, you know, like so it was you know, it's helpful to talk to others, you know, like Vanessa is saying.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, Michael, if there's no question, then we'll call it a day.
Yep.
And
So
next one is, of course, coming up is March 6th, Monday.
Yeah, I can answer one more question.
Sure. Yeah.
From you know, from greenhouse operators with lots of experience, do you recommend drippers? I think that's a very personal thing. Debbie has drippers that you can turn on and off, you know, they kind of fold over, you know, onto themselves. I have drippers that do not turn on and off because our buildings are too tall, so you would never be able to go up there and shut one off. From a retail point of view, if you've sold a basket, I think it's very important that you can turn the dripper off, because then your customers don't get wet. And of course, you save a little bit of water because you're not having a dripper run while there's no basket there anymore. So that those are some of the advantage, you know, of drippers that can turn on and off. For us, what was important, and you'd want a dripper, if you have the ones that turn on and off, you might want with a weight on the end, so that you know, it doesn't, you know, move, if the basket moves in the wind, that the dripper flies out. So a weight holds the together better. For me, what was important is that I had a dripper that had a stick on the end, a stake on the end, and that actually went into the soil, about an inch or two. And that's important for me. I found that important because then the stake was a shape so that the water runs from the drip tube through the emitter, through the drip tube, alongside the stick, and actually gets placed below the soil surface. So about an inch or two down, is where the water goes out. So you might, that controls algae on the surface because your surface is slightly dry, and you don't get a lot of evaporation, from the water that you're emitting. It's placed just below the soil level. So that was my thing, and those came from Southern Irrigation as well. Those.
Michael,
No.
should we ask somebody from Southern Irrigation to come next?
Yeah, that's probably actually a good idea.
Yeah, because the drippers are the capacity of the drippers and what flow rate, the pressure compensation, the header and valves. It's not an easy thing for every plumber to set. So I think let's keep in mind, is it Kevin Van Beek there from Lethbridge?
Well, Case is, I talked to him the other day, and he's not that much involved in sales anymore, but I'll reach out to him. And I was talking to a gentleman called Jason. So one of those two, we're gonna twist their arm. Yes.
Okay, please let's do that for next chat.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, that is good. Yeah. All right, we are closing towards the end, and Michael, you want to thank everybody? And
yes, well, I want to thank you mostly, Mirza, because you're the driving force behind this. You're phoning me, a week before, and you wanted me to send out, the greenhouse chat on the forum, and you keep us all in line. So I want to thank you for always your participation, and your input and your great knowledge, so, and I want to thank everybody for coming. If Paul is still here, thanks, Paul, again for joining us, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Yep, March 6th, please. Great, take care.
Have a great night.
Enjoy your days and weeks and everything. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.